All right, we should be shareable.
Yeah, we're good. We're there.
All right.
I got lots of I got a lot of the idiot Don clips from yesterday.
Oh, good. I was hoping you were going to monitor the situation.
But we're not going to play them. I just said I have them. What did you think? Okay, ready?
Ready.
Right, it's the Brad and Britt cast. We're glad you're with us in the middle of the last day of election month in America. Mm-hmm. And Britt, you applied a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure to me on Monday. I think you were actually doubting that I would vote on Tuesday, right? You thought, well, because I didn't early vote, that showed some kind of non-commitment to the idea, because in your mind, you and your other far left liberals,
right,
only people who vote early give a shit. Only addled, near dead Republicans drag their ass still to the polls on what.
As I've said previously, I'm at a certain age where I can pretty much drop dead at any moment. And you're older than me, so I would be afraid if I were you that I was going to drop dead and not have my vote count. That was my only concern.
So if I'm dead, my first worry is that I didn't vote before I died. Is that it? My only regret, I didn't vote early.
It would have been nice.
You suck. You know,
it would have been nice for the people here to have as a lasting memory of you, one of your last acts being that you voted to save democracy, is all I'm saying.
Well, I did vote this morning. I did. And, you know, there was a guy sitting in a lawn chair out in front of our polling place, which happens to be a Jewish temple.
Oh, no.
Temple Emmanuel.
Oh, no.
So there's a guy. He's just sitting there. And it's, by the way, he's older than me. He's just wearing he's not, I don't think he was a partisan anything. I just think he probably sits there 4 days a week, any given week. He didn't even look at anybody.
Every 4 years, he wonders, why are people showing up? What is this? What's happening?
At least my experience on this day was very, very uneventful, very, very quality in and out. Although I did ask, this could have gotten me arrested, because the way we do our voting is, you know, you fill it out like the SATs or the ACTs with the little black dots on a sheet of paper, and you hand it to them, and they put it into a machine like a copying machine or whatever, and it reads it and it keeps that. And I said to her, "That's a shredder, isn't it?"
Yeah, you should go to jail for that.
I got to laugh. Wait, got to laugh. You got to know.
Sure.
When you can do it, you got to have timing. It's not just great material, which, as you know, I always have.
Did you see that story about those kids that have to retake the SAT because it literally flew out of the back of a truck?
Yeah, it was a UPS.
Oh, UPS.
It was a UPS.
I mean, it's not funny because if you were, you have to, but I think it was in Texas or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
they have to.
That. Now that one, I really feel bad for them.
But you also, if it's the first time you take the test, you have at least an idea of what it's like. Because like the first time you take it, they have practice tests and stuff, but you don't really know what it's like. But then you have the actual test. At least you've had kind of a mulligan on this thing, right?
Yeah, you could look at it that way,
but it does suck. I mean, the whole situation does suck, and they shouldn't have to go through that.
It's kind of all right. I do have a list, but why don't we just have some fun here with? I don't want to even use the worst of Trump, because that's just ridiculous. You can't have that, right? Because whatever you think is the worst is not going to hold, not going to last, not going to stick. But on Monday, he was in full bonkers off the charts territory, and Fox carried it live. Okay.
Oh, did they? Well, what a joy.
Right.
They won't let him back on the channel. He won't be back on the channel for anything, but he can carry this bullshit live.
They did carry it. And they did have a banner up partway through that said Trump to make big announcement. And I thought, I guess he's going to say he's going to run. And then, see, they're so transparent. It hits the 10 o'clock hour, right?
Yeah.
And they're still running him live. And so and this is always so fun to watch the handoff between Sean and Laura. They are so, I love those people. I wish they could be in my living room, because they're so good.
They're such good broadcasters, first and foremost.
They're good. Wait a minute. So Hannity, of course, has stepped aside, and they're running Trump all the way up to 10 o'clock. They get to 10 o'clock, and they go to Laura Ingraham, no more Trump speech, and he hasn't announced anything yet. So I knew instantly that Fox had been clued in to the fact that he wasn't actually going to announce he was running. So they ran the deceptive, banner at the bottom of the screen 20 minutes earlier to keep people tuned in, thinking they were going to hear that. Then at 10 o'clock, they dropped away. And of course, he didn't. He did I'm going to make a huge announcement on November. Wow. He's a master of the media. He's a master of the tease. He keeps you tuned in. You want to come back for more. I'm
glad he faded away. I wanted to hear Laura tell us how teachers are going to teach your little boy to be a little girl. That's what I needed. I wanted some of that.
I did tune in just as he was talking about getting tough on drug deals.
Yes, this one's making the rounds. This one's a big news deal.
Yeah, this is a good one. Let's pick it up here. See what we have.
500 Americans, think of that. A drug dealer will kill on average 500 people.
Okay.
I am calling for the death penalty.
Wait.
First of all,
what was there's of course no point to okay.
If a drug dealer can kill that many people, why can't one of them be Donald Trump Jr.? That's the question I would like to ask.
Yeah.
Drug dealers and human traffickers, which will, upon its passage, reduce drug distribution and reduce crime in our country by a minimum of 75% on the first day that this policy is instituted. 75. And maybe I could ask JD to lead it. You will never lose an election again if you did. And I don't like to bring this up. It's a tough subject. Nobody.
Okay. Well, as soon as he says that, it's going to get just morbid. It's going to get
it's bad.
Vivid. It's going to get ugly.
All right.
Right?
I don't know if the country is ready for it. I can tell you with President Xi in China, I see him say, President, you have 1.5 billion people. Do you have a drug problem? No drug problem. I say, how do you do that? I really sort of knew, but I didn't want to.
I was kind of disappointed there.
I sort of knew.
He didn't do the accent well enough. He didn't go, no drug problem. No drug problem.
How do you do that? And then he probably thought I was somewhat naive. He goes,
yeah, you are.
We have quick trial. I said, what's a quick trial? I think I knew what that was too. That means they catch a drug dealer. They give them a quick trial, not a trial that takes 12 years and 12 years of appeals.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want you to, when he's going through this riff, the guy who's lived his entire life avoiding, delaying, and trying to get out of having to have justice dispensed to him, the guy who stretched out every charge that's ever been made against him, and of course that's lost on the I think after today, we can just go the fucking morons. I don't know what else to say. I'm done. I'm done.
You're done. You're done with being nice about it. You're done.
It's not even. It's just
5 years later, and everyone's dead by the time they get to the end of the. No, this is a trial that takes approximately 2 hours.
Dead.
And if they're guilty, they are executed. And the bullet, and the bullet, I don't know if anybody wants to know this, it gets a little bit too graphic, but the bullet is sent to their families. You know that, right?
No, I don't know that. That sounds like not true to me. That sounds like, I mean, it's a 2-hour trial I could go for, but I find it hard to believe they actually send the bullet to the family.
Again, the accuracy of anything he says is never the debate point.
So what I'm picturing is a shot clock like device with 2 hours on it. It ticks down, and if you run down, and if you run out of time and there's no verdict, you lose. I mean, you're guilty, right? If there's no decision rendered within that 2 hours, you're done. They go ahead and just shoot you.
Would that be slower or faster than Squid Game type justice? Right?
What's the word I'm looking for?
He probably doesn't get the Netflix. He probably, that.
No, he doesn't
get
it.
That's not on regular cable, which I think that's probably all he's ever experienced, right? It'd be too exotic for him to.
I don't think that's constitutional.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Britt?
Yeah.
That's not going to be an issue.
No, but those people who were cheering him, they supposedly love the Constitution.
But Britt, no, they don't. They think they do, but they don't. See, that's the point. That's exactly the point.
It's actually sent to their families. It's pretty tough stuff. There's no games.
Tough stuff.
So they have no drug problem whatsoever. He actually thought it was a foolish question. I said, do you have a drug problem? Absolutely not. What are you talking about? Of course we don't, because we don't play games. You look at Singapore, you look at other countries, wherever they have the death penalty, zero drug problems. Drugs are.
Didn't Singapore have the death penalty for dropping gum on the ground?
They do.
Remember that kid?
Yeah.
You remember that kid?
He got caned.
If you're not quite as old as Britt and I, this was a story. And you probably can Google it. It will probably show up.
This would have been like 93, 94.
Right. A long time ago now, 30 years ago, that a kid got picked up in Singapore. What was it for dropping gum?
I think he was littering, and then I think he was littering or something like that, or maybe spray painting something, and he'd been a dick to the cops.
Right. And he's in jail, and this is one of those, 15 years minimum. It was one of those things. And it was Singapore,
and they caned him. They hit him with a cane.
Yeah.
That was which in the world of professional wrestling led to several Singapore cane matches throughout the term of the 90s. That became sort of a thing that you did to people. But yes,
right.
He was struck with a
cane.
So
the way he was released was Bill Clinton traded his idiot brother Roger Clinton,
which is fine,
to Singapore. They took Roger Clinton, who was
and we got the better end of that deal. I got to be honest with you, even the dick kid who's useless, we got the better end of that deal.
Right. More fun with this moron last night. Let's try this one. See what we get here.
In his socks, nothing happened to him except
Whoops. Try again.
In his socks. Nothing happened to him except a great verdict. He's got a great verdict. We go by that verdict, the socks verdict. But no, he had it in his socks. You know that, right? And others took many, many documents. They take them out of the White House. They took documents. I'm the only one that can't take anything. But maybe our country would be better off if I actually had the nuclear codes, JD, because our enemies would be afraid, unlike the way they are now. If I had the nuclear codes,
I'd be afraid.
Bill Clinton, don't forget, he lost the nuclear codes twice.
Oh, shut up.
Did he?
How do you explain that to the military? I've lost the military codes. What do you?
Where did that come from?
It's just some bullshit.
Wait a minute. Where did that come from?
He read that from shitfuck.com and he took it to heart, or somebody printed it out for him from some tweet or something that somebody said.
12 seconds left on this one.
He lost the military codes twice. I didn't.
Twice.
They're coming after me because I'm fighting for you. That's all it is. And if I wasn't leading in all these polls, I don't know if you find those poll numbers in his socks.
Oh my! What?
Nothing happened to him except.
There was a Monday Night Football game. There was a full slate of NBA games because they're not playing today. And plus there was Monday Night Raw. And you watched that. Well, I'm actually kind of glad you did.
Yeah. That's just too stupid. Let me get everything out of the way here. How was the sound on that? How was the sound?
It was fine. It was fine, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we had good sound on it. Yeah, unfortunately, I could hear Donald Trump's voice way too clearly. I could hear the bullshit pouring out of his mouth way too clearly.
Can you believe last night, Monday night, they fucked up getting the Powerball thing done?
That's funny, though.
I thought of all the shit to happen in America, in a country where no one believes anything is on the up and up or isn't rigged. The one thing, because nobody's ever really questioned power, they have a lot of safeguards. So the night before the election, they couldn't get it done. They finally did. And I was so close. I had one digit of one of the 6 numbers. I had a 4, and I think that's how close.
But they're considering you in case this thing doesn't work out. If it's a fraudulent deal in California, they're thinking it's going to be you.
Yeah. All right, here you go. Choices for the day. Peace between Ukraine and Putin doesn't look good. Arizona really is the new Florida plus Texas. That's saying something. Nancy didn't quite do a drop the mic Nancy out on Monday, but close enough. Netflix going into live sports? Sort of. Yeah. He shot a man in Ohio just to watch him die. Find out why. There are your choices.
Do the Nancy Pelosi one.
All right. Understandably, at age 82, she gave all the signals on Monday that she's accomplished enough, and she's probably going to need to take care of her husband, who was hilariously assaulted with a hammer 2 weeks ago. Almost died. I'm still laughing.
Yeah, it's too funny.
Yeah. And the piece that I've read about this has the most horrendously ridiculous quote on the legacy of Nancy Pelosi from, of all people, another former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, who, by all measures, is as responsible as anyone else on earth you can name that's not Donald Trump for where this country is right now when you want to talk about origin stories. Where did Steve Bannon go to school? At the University of Newt Gingrich. Where did they all go to come up with the kind of language that's used, not just on Twitter, but in real life now? It's Newt Gingrich.
Yeah.
He was the guy. Whenever you hear the word sick, that's a Newt Gingrich word to describe Democrats 30 years ago. Sick, demented. So Nancy Pelosi has essentially had a 20-year run at the top. Sometimes she's majority leader. When the Democrats are out of power, she still retains the top position as the minority leader. And there's just no easy way to say this, but the keys, if you don't turn them in, they will be taken away from you eventually. And right behind Nancy Pelosi, should she decide I'm done, I won't be the leader of the Democrats anymore, is 104-year-old Steny Hoyer.
That's not true.
And 109-year-old James Clyburn. So clearly,
Steny Hoyer is only 83 and a half.
He's older than her.
I know.
He's older than her.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a terrible situation.
By the way,
I really feel bad for her. And
I do too. I mean, with your husband
have the shit that's being said,
it's unbelievable
right now. It's just over the line.
Clyburn also 82 years old, by the way. And
so they're basically over. Here's the Newt Gingrich quote: "You could argue she's been the strongest speaker in history."
What does that mean?
Thanks, Newt. We needed that from you.
What the fuck? She's historic. I mean, she's the first woman and she's done it twice. So I think that's enough. We don't really need any more out of you, dickhead.
Well, no, he wouldn't dare say she was a lot better than me. She was a lot more successful than me. She didn't get run out on a rail like me.
That's
important. She didn't have
No,
personal scandals like me. She wasn't a piece of shit like me.
Don't just skate past that, because this is how this worked. 1994 Contract for America, right? People forgot, again, this is almost 30 years ago. Bill Clinton, oh my God, he's the worst. He's destroying democracy. He's fucking everything up. It was like a junior varsity version of what you heard when Obama was in office, basically, is what you heard. If Obama was white, just try to imagine. That was the stuff they were saying about Bill Clinton in that first year and a half. So they have this thing called the Contract for America.
Britt, I don't mean to correct you, but Bill Clinton was the first black president.
Well, that's true. This is another one you can Google. So they have this thing called the Contract for America. Newt Gingrich, we're going to do these 10 things and you're going to fucking love it and it's the best shit ever. And they published it in publications like TV Guide. Now, TV Guide was a publication. It was like the biggest circulation of any magazine in America. So they win the House in 1994. He becomes Speaker of the House in 1995. I think that was the first time the Republicans had been in control in a while, right, of the House of Representatives. It had been a long time, hadn't it?
Well, I think that might have been the big changeover. And I'm glad you mentioned 1994, because on this day that we speak, we have these just brutal historical trends of off-year elections where a president, particularly in their first term, very often in their second term, if they get reelected too, gets whacked.
Yeah, in the midterms.
In the midterms, it's not a question of if they're going to get whacked. It's only by how many seats will they lose in the House and in the Senate. About the only exception to that was George W. Bush in 2002, because he was such a great leader in our war effort in the battle against terrorism that we didn't want to change horses in midstream, which is a phrase that, by the way, I invented that one. I did come up with that.
The 2002 election was different because of the attacks on 9/11. Of course, that was the first big. Anyway, so Newt Gingrich is the Speaker of the House, 1995, goes to war with Bill Clinton. Hey, blah, blah, blah. It goes to with them all. Bill Clinton easily wins re-election in 1996. 1998 rolls around. And the Republicans are like, oh, we're going to kick your ass so fucking hard. You're going to die. We're going to beat the shit out of you. Because they had been really all this shit about, oh, my God, blowjobs and blowjobs and blowjobs and blowjobs and impeach. And the Republicans didn't do very well in those midterm elections. They kept their majority in the House. But Newt Gingrich, because of their poor performance, he resigned. He was basically asked to go home. And he did. So the revolution that Newt Gingrich captained was 3.5, 4 years, basically, is how that whole thing worked out. And he's been capitalizing on that and sucking wind for 25 years since.
But he did lay this foundation.
Oh, he did.
That they've all gone back to ever since then.
Yeah.
And it was certainly used against President Obama. On steroids, and it's being used right now against President Biden. I don't think, I would bet on this one that the Democrats are not going to go minus 63 tonight, like what happened to Obama in 2010. I don't think that that's going to happen. We're in a different circumstance right now, and without making any kind of prediction here, but early turnout numbers in a couple of states don't seem to be fitting the pattern here, that there's a lot more Democratic turnout today than was originally thought, that this was supposed to be Red Wave Tuesday, as it always is. So if you want to be optimistic and think that things might not work out so you don't know. You just don't know on this, and until we're proven wrong, which could be very quickly here in the next day or so. I'm going to go with my hopeful. I wish it was this way. I hope it's this way. that all the interviews, which just confirm it's the economy stupid, it's the inflation stupid, while they are technically correct, they do not reveal what we just played from Donald Trump coursing through the minds of everybody voting. And people can say whatever they want. You can have rallies where people love no matter what Trump says. But he's way less popular right now than he's ever been. And he is out there pitching for unspeakably horrible candidates for which we hope Mitch McConnell is correct when he says candidate quality matters. Because if Mitch McConnell is wrong, and it's really true that candidate quality doesn't matter, and you know that shelf sitting behind you, Britt, could be elected as long as it has a big red R painted on it to Congress, then we're in more trouble than we know. If there's a major sweep, if there's a big wave, and people like Herschel Walker and Blake Masters out in Arizona,
JD Vance,
if they get in, Katie bar to the door. God help us all. That's all I can say. That's all I can say.
It's hard. I was about to beat up on James Carville, but then I actually read what he said. He's on Morning Joe saying the Democratic messaging needs to improve for 2024, regardless of midterm results. And the quote is, "The one thing that drives me nuts is more people are going to vote today that think that if the Democrats have power, they will defund the police, which is demonstrably not true. Then people who are going to vote today that think if the Republicans get control of Congress, they'll shut the government down to focus cuts on Social Security and Medicare, which is demonstrably true."
Britt, James Carville must have been listening to the Brad and Britt cast yesterday, because of course that's the information fallacy.
Well,
we have people voting on shit that isn't true. And why is it that way? Because somebody's better at messaging. The word messaging should knock that one out. Better at lying. The Republicans are just better at lying.
I almost feel like you're right, because I like what is the messaging that you can do to people to say, I swear to God, we're working on inflation. I swear to God, we are not driving the price of gasoline up. I don't know if people want to inherently believe that Democrats are trying to drive inflation up. Should Joe Biden just get in front of America and go, I'm sorry I did the debt relief thing. I'm sorry that the checks went out. I apologize for that. I should not have done that. And then inflation might be at, I don't know, 3%, and we'd have 500,000 unemployed people a day. I'm not sure exactly what messaging goes with that. If they're just going to go, if the Republicans are going to go, we're going to fix inflation and we're going to bring gas down. When they can't do that, but they just keep saying it over and over again. How do you counter that bullshit?
Well, it isn't a question of countering it. In retrospect, if there is a red wave, the autopsy will be, and it's going on right now, and people are making sure they have their statements ahead of time so they can say, I told you so, or I was right, or I was with this idea all the way and nobody listened to me, which is that the Democrats did not address crime, inflation, immigration, education, the way it was framed, by the way, by Republicans, which is every school right now has teachers who apparently in homeroom, the homeroom teacher asks, all right, who wants to change genders?
Right.
And if a kid raises their hand, they're immediately told you have full confidentiality. We won't tell your parents. And we know a good clinic where they'll cut off your dick if you're a boy that wants to be. That's been going on, and Republicans are promising to stop that. Okay. I'm slightly exaggerating, but not really.
No, not really.
I'm not really exaggerating.
Not much.
And because Democrats supposedly didn't address those issues forcefully enough, either defensively, like you were saying, or even offensively, without resorting to saying, well, we passed the Inflation Adjustment Act and prescription drug prices are going to be lower. That was their answer for inflation, right? That was never, ever, ever going to stand up to, I just went to the grocery store. Why is a loaf of bread $4.99 now? Why is that? What did the Democrats do? It's their fault, right, Republicans? Oh, yeah, put us in there. Bread won't cost so much anymore. And this is the way the election is being played out across America. So Republicans are better at lying about this. You cannot explain anything. Boy, the old line, if you're explaining you're losing, it really applies with economic issues beyond what's on your kitchen table or what goes into your gas tank or what you pay every month in rent. Anything more sophisticated than that, and you're too wonky. You must live on the coasts, and you must talk to each other in faculty lounges about stuff. Like, don't go into this thing about, inflation is not just a United States phenomenon caused by the Democratic Party that has control of the House, Senate, and the presidency in the year 2022. It's a worldwide phenomenon. And get this, it's way, way worse everywhere else on earth except the United States.
That's right.
You can't say that. It won't work.
And
it's like true, but it doesn't matter.
That was another thing. Like stupid ass Jim Jordan puts a tweet out there. How's your retirement account looking? Well, last full calendar year, I was up 27%. I mean, you can't tell them that in 2020, when fuckface McGee was running around, we were in the shitter and we had a huge, massive turnaround in 2021 because Joe Biden did all of the shit that he did. Because you can't tell them that. Because right now, I know people are hurting. But unemployment could be way fucking worse, right? Unemployment could be in the shitter right now, and we could be in real trouble. I mean, I know the inflation hurts. I know the gas prices hurt. I'm not for that. I'm out there. I live in the real world. I see what prices are doing. But you can't talk to them about what life was like that last year under Trump, how awful it was. You couldn't do anything because this asshole couldn't face up to what he needed to do to fix this virus. And we had a deep-ass fucking hole in our economy. And Joe Biden brought all that back in 2021.
It's actually as bad as you said. It's as distorted as you said, but even worse. And here's why. Because if we've learned anything, any of us, over the last few years, and it becomes more pronounced each day, when Republicans and Republican leaders say things that we think are crazy, that could never stand not just a laugh test, but a political test, they're going to do it. And 3 years ago, if you would have heard a Republican say, I think we're going to get rid of Roe versus Wade, we've got a way. I don't know how, but you would have never believed it.
Right.
You would have never believed it.
Right.
And this was their project. And their project now, if they get control of the House and the Senate, they're not going to get a veto. They're not going to get a veto-proof majority at all. And they're not going to be able to override Joe Biden for the next 2 years. So we will have full gridlock government. So what's their plan, Britt? Their plan is, and you ready? 2 words, Newt Gingrich. What was he the father of during Clinton's era? The government shutdown.
Yeah.
The government shut down, and they have said, the Republicans right now, and by the way, Kevin McCarthy, who would be the Speaker of the House if the Republicans take over, apparently, I guess,
I hope not,
has put out a statement saying he wants you to know that there will be no impeachment of Joe Biden.
And the check's in the mail.
So on that one, I think you can go the opposite. Yes, there will, because Marjorie Taylor Greene wants it, and she's going to run that party.
That's right.
She will be running the Republican Party more than Kevin McCarthy. He will be another John Boehner.
That's right.
Completely overwhelmed by the assholes in his party. But he did promise, and he has dropped the hint very loudly that they're going to shut down the government and not agree to pay off the debts of the United States in this crazy, fucked up policy that only the United States of all nations in the world has. And you know it by two words, the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
No.
Because this is just about agreeing to make sure that things that we owe, that we obligated ourselves to in the past,
correct,
must be paid for. Let me talk to Mr. and Mrs. America in language they can understand, because I don't want to use my fancy Ohio State bachelor's degree in nothing to talk over anyone's head. The debt ceiling is like when you get your credit card bill every month. The credit card bill is not for your spending that you're going to do next week or vacation you're going to take. It's for shit that you already bought and created an obligation to pay for. And you must pay your credit card bill. You at least have to send them the minimum. But in the case of the debt ceiling, you got to pay. You got to pay it. And they keep extending it. And the Republicans are going to pass all kinds of fucked up legislation. And it's going to get vetoed. And there's going to be a point, I don't know how quickly this comes up in 2023, where they're going to pass fucked up legislation and say to Joe Biden, if you do not sign this, we will not agree to extend the debt ceiling. We will destroy the credit, the good name of the United States, U.S. Treasury notes and bills and bonds, the gold standard of the world. Still, we will destroy 240 years of the good name of the United States. And you know what that might do? Not only will it cause all kinds of disruptions in it. If you think your 401k down 15% this year sucks, wait till you see what happens when the bond market collapses. The bond market is so much bigger than the stock market, I can't even begin to tell you. It's so
that's a worldwide.
It's fucked up. It's over. It's just over.
If the U.S. defaults on shit, that affects the entire world.
By the way, who would come out as the ultimate winner? I'm just guessing China. China has wanted to make their currency the default currency of the world.
It's true.
And I guess if the dollar gets completely blown up by the Newt Gingrich relatives, the successors, the heirs, that would happen. Now, Brad, of course, they're going to play chicken. They've done this before.
Yeah, but
they're never going to go through with it, Britt. Come on, what are you thinking? Are you crazy, Britt? They would never do that.
They always do it. They shut down the government for a period of time. They get to a lockstep, and then they go, okay, whoever's in charge of the Democratic Party, whether it's Schumer, whether it's Pelosi, you got to sit down with us. And they'll go into the meeting like this, and they'll talk to the media like this. We fucking hate these pieces of shit. They're not getting anything from us. And they'll get in the meeting, and they'll go, okay, you got to bail us out. Just give us like something. I don't care if it's a paper clip. I don't care if it's like a free sub. You have to help us. And then the Democrats.
Do you want to take the chance that this is not a suicide squad this time?
Well, they don't know that they're a suicide squad. They really think that they're not going to die. They're that stupid. They really think they're not going to take down the entire economy. So the Democrats go in, they save the day. This happened a couple of times under Trump when he would shut things down. And they would be like, well, you got to help him. You got to give him something. And cooler heads prevailed. Schumer and Pelosi got everything that they wanted. They actually killed him when it came to negotiations. And they would reopen the government. And, of course, the Republicans walked around like they fucking won. Like they won something. Like they were the kings of the world. They really proved a superior point.
You're totally right. But this is like with nuclear weapons, okay?
Yeah.
If you keep playing around, somebody makes a mistake. And this is nuclear financial weaponry here that you would be talking about in blowing out the credit rating of the United States.
Oh yeah.
By defaulting.
Oh yeah.
On our debt. You just can't do it. So God,
Did
all right.
So you haven't seen the Office episodes yet? You got all the Seinfeld stuff down, but you haven't seen the Office.
I've seen a few. I've not watched that much Office.
There was an Office episode where Michael Scott was going to try to teach the Office a lesson about suicide, not joking about it and stuff. And he was going to jump into a bouncy house off of the top of the building, and he was going to teach them a lesson by actually unwittingly killing himself. So they had to talk him down. That's what this seems like. That's what this feels like to me. They're going to be on the top of the building. I'm going to go to you guys. This is terrible. And then, but we'll see how that plays out. And McCarthy, they may go through the bloodiest, if the Republicans get control of the House, they may go through the bloodiest election ever to pick a Speaker of the House. It may be the craziest shit you ever saw.
I don't know. All right, Netflix. Here you go, Netflix.
All right.
They may get into live sports.
Yeah. But
they're not going big time yet. They're not grabbing the NFL. Some tennis. What else? Soccer.
I would like to mention a word to you. You're going to laugh, but it's real. Pickleball.
Pickleball, yeah.
Yeah, you've seen the major investments and the big players that are now involved in pickleball. If you don't think that they're going to try to, at some point, put a pickleball league together and it's going to get some sort of network shit.
Well, I don't think the rights to the World Pickleball Tournament are going to be like the NFL rights, but
the NFL rights weren't the NFL rights 50 years ago and 70 years ago. Jesus, I mean, they were. You start small and you work big. At some point, it's a joke, and then it ain't a joke anymore. It's a massive, huge, unbelievable thing.
Well, but you got to think that they're not going to be sad. They're not going to be satisfied with pickleball because they see Apple and Amazon going, all in with.
Oh no! But if
Major League Baseball and with the NFL,
if LeBron James is involved in pickleball, and I think he is, you're going to be like, oh, LeBron, here's what we do: we partner with you. You are required to be the play-by-play guy on these pickleball games, and we get 2 documentaries out of you. Here's the check. That's how that works. It's very easy. It comes up, and by the way, the whole gambling aspect of this, that thing is blowing up big time. Yeah.
Well, I hadn't thought of that.
When Netflix partners with DraftKings or FanDuel or Caesars or MGM or one of the other 500 apps that are out there and let you bet in real time on the screen when you're not able to do that on the National Football League or on anything else, things kind of change around. Here's where it's all headed. And there are some people smarter than me who have seen this coming. All of your scripted shit, it looks like it's going to go over to streaming. All of your live stuff, news, sports, looks like it's going to go to regular TV. Regular cable, all that.
That'll be the only reason to keep those channels going, huh? Yeah.
That's what everybody is. The people again who are brighter than I am. And by the way, may I suggest to Netflix that they put a bid in for something called the World Wrestling Entertainment Company, because that contract I believe is going to be coming up in about a year and a half for SmackDown. Maybe they just buy the whole thing instead of Peacock buying the whole thing.
You know what? I just saw something. Have we ever played any Howard Stern clips? I don't think we have.
I don't recall any. Neither one of us are huge fans.
Right. Well, but when he gets going on a rant, a political rant, it can be entertaining here. I can call this one up because he's gone after Herschel Walker. Okay.
I believe your rabbi was wondering how Herschel Walker got a Yiddish surname or a Yiddish name. Who gave him that?
Herschel?
Yeah. I think that's a funny one.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't get it, but I can read the transcript for you. There you go. Okay. Here's the rant. Should I do Howard?
Sure.
Fucking Herschel Walker. Holy fuck. They're saying he's going to win in Georgia. Are you fucking dummies? They always talk about another civil war. I think there's going to be one. I mean, how the fuck could you elect that guy? You got to be out of your fucking skull. I got to say, I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Would you really vote for this fucker? I can't believe what a fucking idiot he is. I was going to say mental case, but I don't even know if that's fair to mental cases. I don't know.
It's not. Oh, Howard. That's funny. I do like it when he gets on these rants and stuff, though. He's been able to call some people out.
All right, and one last one. Let's do the the guy in Ohio,
Yeah.
who shot his neighbor just to watch him die.
Saw this.
By the way, here's the last part of that sentence: because he was a Democrat.
Right.
All right. So let's go to this is Butler County, which is between Dayton and Cincinnati, where Middletown is, which is, if you're a hillbilly eulogy guy, if you're a JD, that's his town, Middletown.
That's right.
Okay. Austin Gene Combs taken into custody by the sheriffs there in Butler County before noon on Monday after the shooting was reported. He shot him because he believed he was a Democrat, according to the family of the victim. My neighbor just shot my dad, said the victim's son to the 911 folks. He has come over multiple times making statements. He's insane. The caller's mother sobbed in the background, told dispatchers the 43-year-old Anthony Lee King was just cutting his grass.
He's a Lee.
But he's a victim, Lee.
Oh, sorry.
He's not a perpetrator, Lee.
Too bad.
He'd been cutting grass and doing yard work. When she went outside to let their dog out, that's when she heard gunshots. I look in the backyard. That man is walking away from my husband. My husband is on the ground. He's come over like 4 times confronting my husband because he thought he was a Democrat, which, of course, as you know, is a justification for confrontation in America right now.
How do you prove that you're not a Democrat? Like, if the guy goes, you go over there right now and you make that woman not get an abortion. I mean, how do you worm your way out of that if you've been accused of being a Democrat?
This Combs character is 26 years old, arrested a short time later while driving away from the scene with his daddy. And naturally, there's no cash bail, so he's now walking. No, he's his bond is set at $950,000 on suspicion of murder.
See, the positions that we take always have to be explained. Like when you say we're eliminating cash bond, they go, "Well, it's terrible. Do you want criminals on the street?" I went, "No. You don't understand. It totally fucks minorities, and it's a corrupt system. You have to explain this shit to them, and they're like, "Well, I don't hear it, Britt.
You can't explain it.
You can't. They're just like, I don't want to hear it. You love criminals. Blah 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 blah." That's all they hear.
Everything was perfect till now.
Until now.
Well, we will see where we all stand starting Wednesday.
Yeah.
We'll see if the slide to autocracy begins to accelerate and we start to lose a lot of shit that we just took for granted.
Yeah.
A lot of shit that we just took for granted. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope we're surprised today, and I hope that Michael Moore gets to just shove it up everybody's ass.
Be happy for him to do it.
He has a view that is contrary and optimistic that the American people have been able to see through what's been going on the last few years and will express themselves at the polls, and they have been during the early voting, and it'll all add up. But there's little doubt that at least a few of these cranks are going to get through. There's no doubt about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll check in on the next go around. Okay.
On the flippity flip.
You got it.